can beat your chest before the international community to say you are paying $90 as minimum wage. Now, if you accept that what you have said is about 90 naira, that is even 30,000, and that 20-something thousand is about something dollars, and you can go before the Committee of Nations to say you cannot dollarize your wage.
Gentlemen, if I may come in here, Honorable Minister, sir, Mr. Ajero, please, can we just keep it civil? Well, we can talk one after the other. The way things are right now, gentlemen, it looks as if government is unwilling to cut down on its expenses in order to be able to pay the minimum wage as required by labor. But government also needs labor to be able to do it. I see that the minister and Mr. Ajero are still going back and forth. So let me take it to you, Mr. Akese.
People who have the ability to pay more will pay more. That is what
Okay, let's go over to Mr. Akese, who is the Chief Secretary to the Benue State Governor. Mr. Akese, you mentioned one time that the governors are not willing to cut down on their cost of running governance, because if they're able to do that, then they'll be able to pay the minimum wage. Is there a way that this can be resolved once and for all?
Well, it's interesting, the exchange there between the minister and the labor leader. But Newton, let me say that I spoke about the feasibility, that we should be realistic on this matter. Now, if the states agree that, okay, do you know Nigerian workers deserve even 100,000 naira minimum wage? And it won't be enough. Because if you look at the input, if you look at what Nigerian workers put in to make this country work, no amount, no minimum wage will be too much for them. No minimum wage will be too much. But what we are saying is that, do the states have the capacity to pay? Even as it is on 18,000 naira, how many states are able to be up to date with their salaries? It's a matter that we must look at it without sentiments, without emotions. Now, when you said Nigerian Governors Forum is not willing to come down, I mean, why not? If the resources were there, governors of this country will willingly want to see smiles on the faces of their workers. But the truth is that the money is not there. Now you talk about cutting down on costs. Why not? For instance, in Benue State, Governor Samuel Otom reduced the number of ministries from 18 to 13, and the number of advisors from 28 to 20, and the number of special assistants from about 500 to just about 100 and to just 100 or so. Now, this is part of the cutting cost process. So okay. In Benue State, we're already looking in that direction. We are taking steps already to do that.
Okay, Teva, can I just ask you to hold your thoughts for a few minutes? Let me just dash back to the minister and ask him the way forward. Dr. Ngige, what's the best way we can move forward beyond this point? Is it to call a meeting of that tripartite committee again, or are we going back to the very beginning?
Of course, that meeting has to be called. The unfortunate thing is that the chairman of the committee, Ms. Amapepo, is abroad. She just left the country on Monday for medical treatment, a checkup abroad. And she's written to say she'll be away for 2 weeks. But even at that, we want to call the tripartite partners so that we can have a discussion. And we want to do it as soon as possible, possibly tomorrow, so that we can forge and agree on the way forward. Okay. A national strike will not solve anything.
Okay, that's understandable. Now, there's hearing somebody else in some other quarters who are talking about advising the governors to cut down on some of their running costs and some of their expenses in order to be able to pay this minimum wage. Would you be making that suggestions to the governors as well?
Yes, we did. After all, the governors are human beings. Some of us have also been governors before. There are some areas that they can cut and save some money. They can shed off weight in those areas. Like if you have plenty of special assistants, And you have the special assistants will have PAs. Commissioners will have special assistants from outside the system. In the federal government, we don't take our advisors and special assistants from outside the system. You take from the system, the core of civil servants, you go and take an assistant director, a director, or whatever, so that it is the same pool, the same fund. But in some states, you have a battalion of these people from outside, and all way on the personnel cost of the state. But you also should realize that they are sovereign, they are independent, they are federating units. So they run their own, they have their own House of Assembly, they make their own local laws to guide their operation. Their own budget are approved by that nation, by that House of Assembly. So you're, as a federal government, you're handicapped. You can't impose your own structure on them. You only have to advise.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris Ngige, the Minister of Labor and Productivity. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Sunrise Daily will take a moment and we'll be back. Please don't go away. Welcome back. We still have Mr. Ajero of the Organized Labor. Mr. Ajero, and we still have Mr. Teva Akese also from Benue State on Skype as well. But let's start with you, Mr. Ajero, real quick. Should labor really be pushing for increase in wages instead of lowering of the cost of running governance, lowering of the cost of fuel, reduction in taxes on salaries and cost of power bills and all of that? Shouldn't that be what labor is pushing for? Mr. Ajero?
Hello?
Yes. The question I asked is, there are those who are concerned about increase in salary leading to an increase in a high inflation rate. So why shouldn't we be pushing instead for the reduction in the cost of fuel, reduction in the cost of taxes on salary, reduction in the cost of running government, reduction in the cost of power bills instead of increase in salary?
Well, what you are talking about now, the issue of salary is already the arrears. Now, what do I mean by that? Already the cost of fuel has been up. The inflation has been up. The energy cost has been up. Now, we are behind time, asking for arrears, what has been eaten before. Even the house rent, all of them has been affected by this inflation. The worker salary has been behind. And what we're even trying to ask is for it to come up a bit. And that's why that's the essence of 30,000 naira minimum wage. No, so whether they decide to cut it down tomorrow, I don't know whether the people in the market, whether the landlords will only cut down their house rent and whatever, which is caused by inflation and all these increases done by the same government.
Okay, real quick.
If you reduce inflation, bring down reduce the value of the currency and all this, then why not?
All right, thank you very much.
At the time, the minimum wage was 3,000 naira and people were living.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ajero of the United Labour Congress, also Organized Labour Leadership. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Mr. Akese, now that you've heard the minister talk about the tripartite committee coming back, Mr. Ajero is talking about they just want this thing to come up a little bit to match with what has been. So they are in arrears right now. What do you suggest as the way forward?
Well, I also think that there is room for dialogue at all times. And that is why the Nigerian Governors Forum has been meeting. And I believe governors of this country are also Nigerians. And they they think about their workers, they love their workers, and they will always do things that will make workers of this country be happy with their families to work more for the country. So I believe that the position that the Nigerian Governors Forum has tabled should also be looked into as it is now, because that is the realistic position. Even as we have 18,000, not all states are able to keep up the pace of payment.
All right, thank you very much.
Truth.
Thank you very much,
I think that we'll get there, and dialogue will be the only option.
All right, thank you very much, Teva Akese, Chief Press Secretary to the Benue State Governor. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And that is the show for today. I want to thank you for letting us be a part of your day. I'm Neo Taigbe, wishing you a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everybody, and thank you for watching. I am Ajuri Ngelale.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.